Happy Wednesday. Well, I didn't do one of these for the last couple weeks because I just didn't really have anything to say, and I'm not going to force these. But I'm excited to say that I'm back with an interview. I like doing these, and I'm very excited about this one because this is somebody that I've met. I met kind of at the very beginning of my Facebook author journey about a year and a half ago, whatever it's been, and she's got a book coming out very soon, and I'm going to turn this over to her right now to introduce herself and talk about her book, and we're going to go from there. Take it away.
I'm Liz Paloma, and as Steve mentioned, I have a book coming out. And what would you like me to share about myself or about my book?
Yeah, let's start with your book, and then there's some specific things I want to ask about. But yeah, it's coming out soon, and as much as you want to share about it in advance of it coming out.
Cool. I'm so excited about it. It's kind of surreal because this has been something that I've been working on. I mean, this was kind of my first major book idea that happened. I mean, I was probably 14 or 15, and it almost kind of started as a fan fiction off of a Terry Brooks novel. And so obviously it evolved so much over the years, and I've probably been through 6, 7, maybe even 8 full and complete drafts where I trashed the whole thing and started over again. Really started getting serious with it about maybe about 2 years ago. I really started getting serious about it, and so I'm very excited. I've got my author proof right over here.
Yeah,
so
that's an outstanding cover, by the way. I love it.
Thank you. I love it. Carrie, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Clowder, maybe?
Something like that. And the reason I know that is because I was so impressed with the cover that I am actually I reached out to Carrie for my next book. So that's a spoiler, but we'll find out more about that.
Yeah. So yeah, she did a fantastic job, but yeah, it's a romantic fantasy. There's magic, but it's been suppressed over the generations, and so the characters are kind of coming to terms with the magic that they have and the magic that others have, and all of these romantic entanglements and things that happen that put their own lives in danger and put the lives of the other characters in danger, and they kind of have to square with everything as it develops and eventually kind of explodes there at the end. So
well, and this is a case where I can say also that and I'm trying to remember if it was it considered a beta at that point, or was it like more of an advanced reader when I looked at it? Was a beta? Yeah. Yes. So I have read a form of the book. Obviously, I want to read the polished final version, but I loved it, and I thought it was really cool. And I like that you I know there's like different point of view characters, and not just the good guys. There's like a questionable character that has a perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really cool.
The I guess morally gray characters are very kind of popular now, especially in the romantasy genre. And so even though the morally gray characters that are more popular are the men, and this is a female morally gray person.
Yeah. Well, I think that works because it's not, because it's gray. It's not like if it was just a flat out like awful villain. I mean, I think a perspective it would get old quickly, but it's somebody that at moments you're like, well, I can kind of see it from your point of view. It's a little warped, but you're not, you have a reason to be the way you are.
Yeah. I always thought that if I had more bad things happen to me in my life, that could have been me. I could have been the villain. I could have been the one with the warped perspective. And
any one of us gets pushed too far in a certain direction, it could happen.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
So so did you say this already? When is it coming out?
So October 1st is the official release date. And I'll be doing an ARC campaign, ARC campaign. I don't know whether it's so funny. They talk about people who are readers and read things and then never know how to pronounce them. Is it ARC or is it ARC?
That's a great question in that particular one. I say ARC, but I don't know if that's right or not. I actually don't know that I've ever actually heard someone say it out loud. So for the purposes of this video, we're going with ARC.
Okay, perfect.
Wait, is that or whatever you want.
So I'll have an ARC campaign in September, leading up to October 1st.
Cool.
Yeah.
Something interesting that like I know Haley when I interviewed her for sure, and I feel like at least one of the other interviews I've done is those of us that have like started writing our stuff like way early, like decades ago in some cases. And then like you get back to it, like, you know, my series, I started the first one 20 some years ago. And then it took like yours, you threw out stuff it's interesting that a lot of us are sitting on this idea forever. And then finally over the last couple of years, finally got our stuff together and did something about it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's so many writers in different like Facebook groups and, you know, people that I know from my own author profile and things like that have been writing forever, but didn't really get the drive, the push to finish the book and push it until
Well, something else you just said that I think resonates with me, and I've heard other authors say this too, is you started at 20 some years or however many years ago. I'm putting my own math in there for my situation, but you started a long time ago. And but you did the right thing, and you like threw out some things and changed it enough. Like I think some people probably like have like the attachment. Oh, I started this, I have to kind of keep it the way it was. But like I don't know, speaking for myself, and I think most people I know, like the writer I was in my early 20s wasn't very good by comparison.
Yeah, no.
You should not be overly attached to those old things. It's like a good idea, but don't be afraid to throw stuff out.
Yes, they talk about killing your darlings and getting rid of characters or themes or entire plot lines that just don't work. And it's so true. And I kind of had to learn that the hard way, actually, because when it was towards the when was this? So I hired a developmental editor to take a look at my novel. And at this point, my series, which this is book one in the series, it's going to be a trilogy. But at that point, it was going to be 4 books. And the first book was kind of an introduction to the characters. It was a lot more cozy. There wasn't a whole lot of plot that moved forward.
Sure.
And when I hired this developmental editor, she broke it to me very nicely that, hey, there's not a whole lot of plot going on. You've got some interesting, cool things going on with the characters, but I really think you need to cut about 75% of this out. And I was like, oh, no.
That's a number. Yeah, that's a sobering number. That's like,
yeah,
but that's good. I mean, yeah, and I mean, you know, like making it cozy and not super impactful. You know, if it doesn't really stick, people aren't going to stick around for the series either. So you don't want to get too gradual with your build up. I mean, we all know TV shows that start out real slow and then they just lose viewers, and then people will tell, but it got good. But yeah, but they didn't stick their landing.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, with the intention of where the story was going to go, it wasn't meant to be cozy. So she was like, cut out all the cozy stuff. And so, yeah, it was very sobering. It was, I had to make a lot of difficult decisions, but I think ultimately I made the right choices, and I was able to craft something that, you know, had plot and structure, even though it's mostly just drama, you know, it's mostly just people talking, but there's still, you know, the plot moves forward, and
it does. Absolutely.
You hopefully want to know where it's going. Yeah.
Well, I do. And that's all that matters. It's my show. Now, one thing I wanted to talk to you about, because it fascinates me, but you did a Kickstarter, there's authors that have done that. Full disclaimer, I'm like a addict of Kickstarter. I think I've supported like 40 some, like it's crazy. Like just the other day, a guy started getting emails, and I'm like, why am I getting these emails? And then I'm like, it's actually a Kickstarter I supported and forgot I did. But anyway, that's a different problem. But no, you did one, and I'd love to hear kind of how what made you decide to do it, how how you went about it. And I mean, we can talk after that, but like also the fact that yours was quite successful, and which is not true of all of them. So yeah, let's start with the first question. Like, what made you decide to go that route?
It was kind of a slow process, actually, because I had been introduced to Kickstarter through other projects, tarot cards, and some other cool things that I had either backed or just had looked at, and I hadn't really realized until I got into the indie author scene and was really spending a lot of time online, both in groups and just on my Facebook page, with people who were doing all of these amazing things with their books. And I joined a Facebook group called Kickstarter for Authors, and the woman who runs this group, I don't know how many Kickstarters she's run, 15 maybe, something like that, but she has compiled a list of the things that really kind of make a good, successful Kickstarter campaign as an author, if you're putting your books out there. And it was just really fascinating, so cool to just learn about what every platform is different. So it's like, what are people on Kickstarter looking for? And she was able to really kind of narrow it down. Like, audiobooks aren't as popular. Hardcovers are very popular. Hardcovers with all the artwork and the sprayed edges and the, like those types of things are going to be really popular. Obviously, I didn't want to do too much for my first one, but yeah, I just I saw other authors that had their books on there, and I thought, this is something that I can do. I'm not going to expect a massive campaign that's going to bring in $15,000, because this is my debut novel, and I don't have a massive social media presence, but it was just really cool. So I decided I was going to go all in and give it a shot, and it turned out really great.
It did, yeah. And I mean, it seemed like, again, me having done a lot of them, I think the ones that are successful, well, first of all, you got to grab them with good visuals, and I think you have that. You had the cover, you had the like other artwork that that comes with supporting certain levels. Obviously it had a good story. It's not like, like the actual like presentation of it, and then you just stayed on it, like you had updates and that, because I've seen them where they throw something up there and then you never hear from them again, and then it just kind of crawls along. But no, yeah, it seemed to do really well. That's awesome. I mean, I've heard a number of authors ask about that or post about it. Hey, should I do a Kickstarter? And I think it just depends. If you have a good plan and like so you actually got advice from somebody, which is good.
Yeah, I do. I think Kickstarter is definitely one of those. You have to have a plan going in. You have to have done your research and know the market and know, what you're asking people to back, saying, this is my story, please help me out. Usually there have been successful campaigns that are like that, but for the most part, in order to run a successful campaign, you have to really be specific with who you want to read your book, who you're advertising to, marketing to, not advertising, but
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. So something else I was going to ask you about too is like social media. Like you're on Facebook, I think, Instagram. I think you're on TikTok. I don't know if you're using it that much. I don't remember, but you're on kind of the main ones. I don't remember.
Videos.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. But anyway, I think let's focus on Facebook. So, I mean, I feel like I don't remember when you started, if it was around the same time I did or a little earlier, but you kind of cleared, if I remember, like the 1,000 mark, which is, I don't know, at least to me, impressive. I'm not there yet. And was there anything specific you did, or was it, or just being yourself?
I feel like I mean, yeah, it's hard because as someone who's an introvert and a self-identified someone who is autistic, I I struggle with just being myself on social
Yeah.
media because I worry that I'm going to put people off. But uh, but no, I mean, I don't know. I remember seeing some advice for Facebook, and I don't know where I learned this, but it was something like um, post your own post once or twice a day, um, and then you have to reply to every comment that comes
Mm,
in under your own posts, and then you're supposed to comment on at least four other people's posts, um, and do that every day. And there for a while, I was doing that, but I don't know how long that lasted. I feel like at some point, probably during the school year, when my job started picking up and things got busy, I kind of stopped. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of what I was doing, at least trying to.
sure. Yeah, I think we're all. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I don't have any really good. I mean, what you said makes sense to me, and I guess I'm kind of some days better than others doing that too. Where I try to post at least once a day. So it's something just about my own books, or sometimes just one of those like
Yeah, for
ask
sure.
me anything or whatever. And then I do try to at least acknowledge everybody's reply, and then get on other people's posts and stuff. And that seems, I don't know. I had a weird streak where, and this by no means is bragging because I don't even know what the hell it means, but that rising creator thing, like
Oh, right.
up until a couple weeks ago, I had like a 2-3 months straight streak of that, and there was times I didn't post anything for a couple days, so I have no idea what that means, but I don't know, it's a mystery.
I mean, honestly, with Facebook, it could be completely, you know, maybe it doesn't mean anything.
I don't
I
know,
don't
but
know.
yeah, I wish I knew, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
um yeah, so I of course have to ask this, like, I try to make these interviews about the person I'm interviewing, but you are one of the people that have read my series, and I wanted to ask you like what you thought of it.
I loved them. It's so funny because we had mentioned that at some point towards the beginning of both of our Facebook journeys, I think, um, we became Facebook friends and kind of connected. And so yours were one of the very first series that I read based off of recommendations from other Facebook pages and other people that I was connecting with on social media. And so yeah, it was so cool to get to read another indie author's books, someone that I had not, beta read for or,
Sure.
done any of those other things. And there are kind of two big things that stick out in my mind with your books. And the very first thing is how much action there is. I mean, it's just relentless. Lorelai goes from one bad sticky situation to another sticky
It really,
situation.
yeah, that's very
I
true.
mean, it's so, I mean, you just like keep it coming the whole time. There's the tension never really drops. And so I mean, I read them all super quick. Obviously I didn't get to the last one because I got busy this spring, so I just finished that one last month maybe. But all of the, I mean, they're just so entertaining, and just the action is so quick, and I love the visuals too. And that wasn't my second thing, but I love the visuals. But then the second thing was just how I guess in the world that you've created, how people aren't judged for sexuality or
Hmm.
things like like just there's just this assumption that a person is who they are, and that's so cool. I mean, obviously there's the
Yeah.
espionage aspect, but
Oh,
their
sure.
own identity as a person is never kind of brought into question, and I love that. That's such a like I wish we had more of that in our own world.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah. No, and I'm always glad when people point that out because I think I've actually posted videos about this, but one of the sources of inspiration I got from that is the Mass Effect games. And I don't remember if it was the second or the third game, but basically, and first of all, the BioWare who makes those games, like they've always like they were kind of at the forefront of having like your character could have relationships with same sex, whatever. They were open to that. But there was some scene in there where it was like your navigator is a secondary character is a guy, and he just mentioned something about losing his husband, and there wasn't any corny dialogue options like, "Oh, I didn't know you were gay" or whatever. It was just like didn't miss a beat, and it was like in this future, like the main character didn't even care. And it's like that. I really consciously wanted to do that. Like, there's this effed up organization, the Gamma Trida Corporation, that's oppressive, and there's these jerks that are like vying for power. But at least when it comes to like that kind of thing, people are over it in society.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that was like no one at any point questions that, because that's
Yes.
certainly a future I hope like I live in.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so like
Cool.
those were some of the main things that stuck out. You know, there's scenes from each of the books that have stuck with me. I'm like, oh, that's such a cool scene. Like in book 3, the car chase scene.
Yeah,
really well done.
I'm really happy. I really thought about that a lot because I wanted a car chase scene and I didn't even know how to write one. And I did research on it. And then like, so I'm glad that like I get some positive feedback on that because that was really putting myself out there. Like, how do you, try to even word things kind of fast paced, and like, it was tough.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it came out great. And it was very vivid, you know.
Good. Yeah, and as far as the fast-paced thing, I'm glad most people view that as a positive, and I think it only works in novellas like that because I think a full novel like that, you just run out of gas probably. It's like, oh my God, this book needs to slow down. Which the fourth one I'm working on right now has got a lot less action, at least so far. So, but it's also going to be longer. So we'll see how that all works out. It's gonna. I actually think it's going to make it to novel length. So we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. I do agree with you that like a longer novel having that kind of ebb and flow where there's some fast-paced stuff and there's some slower, you know, to kind of balance it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm already talking more about myself than I meant to, but this is actually good because I wanted to say this to you because I have read some books that recently over the last year that like changed point of view, like between multiple characters, but you know, reading the advanced copy or the beta copy of yours, it is one of the influences for me to actually, with my next book, like do like two perspectives instead of one. So yeah, it's like Haley's book does that, and then your book did that, and I was like, I really want to try that next. So it's challenging, but I've seen it done well now, so I'm taking a stab at it.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess to wrap it all up, where do people find you? Where can people, we talked about Facebook and all that, but what are the different places people can find you to learn more about your book and stuff?
Yeah. So I have a website. It's elizabethpaloma.com. And then, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, I'm there on TikTok, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I've kind of given up on it, but not fully.
Yeah. I'm hoping to post a little bit more leading up to.
Yeah,
that's for smart. Sure. But yeah, those are the main places, and maybe I'll run another Kickstarter. Who knows, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to get to the point where I have the courage to try that. Maybe, who knows? But it's cool to see one like from somebody that works, and it kind of gives confidence that if you go about it the right way, it's an avenue to definitely that could pay off.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I do think it's really cool that I've sold like 40 copies of my book, and it's not even out until October.
Yeah, that's awesome. Know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And one more bonus thing I have to say about Liz is that like you have a skill I wish to God I had, where you can actually, to very awesome detail, sketch out your own characters visually. Like you've posted sketchings of your character, and like, oh my God, I wish I could do that.
Thank you.
Have you?
That's
Is
the
that some?
only thing.
Okay, I was gonna say, is that like a side of you? Like, have you done a lot of that?
Uh, oh my gosh. I mean, it's been probably a really long time since I've done any sketching, but that's pretty much the only thing I'm good at. I can't do body positions. I can only do faces.
Yeah.
So I ran with it.
Well, they're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, so I mean, that's once again, thanks for taking the time to talk. This one, I was looking forward to this one
Yeah,
because
it's been great. Thank you for having me.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when I post this, and if people should definitely follow Elizabeth Paloma on Facebook in particular, and find out about the book coming out and pre-order it, and you won't be disappointed. I promise you.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.